Something is about to happen. Depending on how you define it, it either hasn't happened in 200 years, or it hasn't happened before ever. We're watching the sky right now. As I described this, it's the middle of February, so this is going to happen in about 6 weeks, near the end of March. Watch now what happens to Venus. It's about to cross a specific constellation boundary that normally planets don't cross. Planets move a little above and below the ecliptic, the line that the sun takes through the sky. So they don't just stick to the 13 constellations the sun travels through. They wind up sometimes in constellations close to that line, like Cetus or Orion. But Venus is going into a constellation that no other planet ever moves into, and it hasn't moved into in over 200 years. See, when it crosses that line on March 29th, or the 28th for people in the Western Hemisphere, it's going to cross into the constellation of Pegasus, which isn't anywhere near the path that planets and the sun normally take through our sky. But because of the way Venus's orbit tilts just enough, it gets this far and just this far away, some of the time, from the path of the sun through the sky. It's going to be there for just a couple of hours on March 28th or 29th, and it hasn't done this for over 200 years. Now, because of the way Venus and Earth move together, 8 years from now, it's going to do almost exactly the same thing. Not quite. In a moment, the video will show you Venus doing that in 2025, just a little offset from the path it takes in 2017. So in March of 2025, and 2033, and 2041, it's going to go into Pegasus again, for less than a day every time. But before this year, Venus hadn't crossed into Pegasus since 1806. I said Venus almost repeats its path every 8 years. Almost, not quite. It's just a little off each time. That amount adds up. So 200 years ago, it was back in just about the same place, but the constellation boundary line wasn't there then. Astronomers only drew these lines in 1875. So because this line has only been there, drawn artificially by astronomers so they could decide where the boundaries of the constellations were, since about 140 years ago, Venus has never actually crossed this line before ever. So, if you're into astrology, or you just like the cartographic aspects of astronomy, Venus is doing something that no one has ever seen it do before. Venus is going to be in Pegasus, the winged horse. And you thought there was nothing new under the sun.